If you're someone who's been wanting to get in shape and implement healthy habits, but you find yourself consistently starting and stopping, or maybe getting in shape and not staying there for long, this video is for you. We're going to talk about some mindset shifts and some maybe physical changes that have been holding you back. And in the second part of this video, I want to cover the actual action tips that you can implement starting today on your journey. These are the things that I have implemented on myself and then what I coach my clients on in the work that I do. And they work without fail. And it's not the eat less, work out more, because that's not practical. We need to talk about what's practical and realistic. So let's get into it. Let's first talk about why most women fail at this. There's a quote that I want to start you with. The enemy of a good plan is the dream of a perfect plan, by Carl von Clausewitz. I hope I said that name right. But what does that mean? It means that we dream of this perfect plan all the time. And because it's never perfect, we never get started. So the first thing that I see stopping people from reaching their goals is believing this motivation lie. I hear people say, well, I'm just not motivated. Motivation is like an emotion. It comes and goes. And when I used to have a fitness studio, when women would come in to sign up, those that were the most excited, they were super jumping for joy, were my worst clients. And those that came in that were like, okay, this makes sense, I need to do this, signed up, they were the clients that got the best results. Because we don't want to let the emotion run us. We are emotional creatures, but we cannot let these emotions run us. And with that said, today you feel motivated, tomorrow you won't. And you won't because of habits, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So don't rely on how you're feeling. This is why you want to be clear on what you want your end goal to be, which leads me to number 2 that makes people fail. And that's improper or unrealistic expectations and looking at fake images online. In this day and age, you can go online and find so many altered images that you don't even know what's real anymore. So we, especially as women, we're not realizing that's not realistic. So later on, we're going to get into how to actually get away from that and how to set realistic goals. But I want you to pay attention to what your end goal has been and what images have you been seeing online. That leads me into number 3, which is no clear starting point, because we're covered in shame. So many women that come to me are just covered in shame of where they are, and they blame themselves for where they have gotten. But one of the things I do want you to ask yourself is there shame in where I am right now? This can happen especially to women after they have children, because their bodies have changed and they feel shame over it. They want things to be how they were. So get clear on what your point A is so that you can get to your point B, because this is a journey, my friend. And if you don't know where you're starting, how are you going to even get where you're going? All right, number 4 is very much a mental work here. It's a necessary shift in your identity that needs to happen. You might have heard the saying, be, do, have, which means first you have to become the person that you want to be so that you can do such things, so that you can have the things that such person wants. However, I want to point out that you don't just become a fitness person, a fitness expert, a runner, a yoga enthusiast by thinking about it, by imagining that that's what you are. You become that by taking action. Let's take an example of someone who started running. They started running more, they started running more frequently, right? The first thing is starting to run. Then they change the duration, the intensity, or the frequency of their runs. And then one day someone said, hey, so you're a runner, right? And they went, well, I guess I am. They became a runner by repeatedly taking that action. So when it comes to be to have, that is the formula, because you do become that person. But I do want you to ask yourself, what's your identity right now? Are you the person that's fit in your identity? Or are you a person that's always struggling to get fit? Are you the person that's always struggling to find time for herself? The next one is so common in fitness industry, and that's this go big or go home mentality. I see so many women starting too big and then reverting back, right? Making too big of changes. I'm going to change the way I eat, and I'm going to exercise 5 days a week, and I'm going to go running on the weekends, and I'm going to go hiking with my family. And then 2 weeks later, you revert back to how it was. Too extreme does not work. We're going to talk about small changes in a minute. The next one is emotions. The guilt and shame that I see women carrying when it comes to their body image, their weight, the way they feel, it's eating you up alive. And this is not an easy one to address for a lot of people because of the guilt and shame. And also, it's not something we can just do in a shorter YouTube video. But if you want me to talk more on guilt and shame, please leave a comment below and let me know. Number 7 is very physical. It's gut health imbalance. A lot of times we do not have proper gut bacteria in our stomach because we have been eating processed foods and foods that are not good for us for a long time. And then that gut health imbalance causes us to have more stress hormone, to not release enough serotonin, which is the feel-good happiness hormone. So that is definitely something you want to address, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. The next one I want to talk about is believing the lie of I don't feel like it. The reason you don't feel like it is because it's not a habit for you yet, and we need to talk about habits. You have to understand that your brain loves conserving the energy. So when you're trying to build a habit, you have to consciously take the action against your brain telling you that you're too tired, you don't want to do it. You have to consciously take that action over and over again until it becomes a habit. So we all feel like not doing the thing that we want to do. That's the problem in changing. So when you hear the words, I don't feel like it, know that it's a lie. And one more thing I want to address in this video is specifically for women whose bodies have changed, whether they've had kids or something else has changed. Maybe they got stretch marks now. I see this so much in women wanting to go to how it was. And oftentimes how it was in their 20s. We typically remember how we were then 10, 20, 30 years ago, and we magically want to get there. So there is an acceptance first, and this goes with guilt and shame. None of these are exclusive to themselves. They kind of intertwine with each other. So with that said, there is a grieving process if your body has changed to understand that, hey, maybe I do have stretch marks now. Hey, maybe my belly is different now because I've had my babies, right? Like there is a shift that has happened. Now, how far you want to go as to changing that, that's on you. But I want you to accept that the body is always changing, and being your best to the decade that you're in is the best thing that you can do for you. It's going to lower a lot of stress for you. So now let's go into how to actually make it happen. The quote that I want to start you off with here is, done is better than perfect. So whatever it is that you're trying to do, eat better, exercise more, meditate, done is better than perfect. Do not search for that ideal, perfect moment, environment, that perfect little outfit that you're going to put together in that perfect little gym with your perfect little training, your perfect little workout. So the first thing you want to do is set goals that are realistic. You're not looking into Instagram fake photoshopped images. You're not looking at a 20-year-old that has all the time in the world to work out. You are looking into what's the best for me. And let me remind you here that you do not want to think only in the terms of what do I look like. You want to think of the terms of what do I want to feel like? What do I want my body to be able to do? And how can I stay focused on health? Because health is really the long-term game that we're after. Maybe there's a hike that I want to go on. Maybe I have kids and I want to be there to be able to play with them for hours at a time and not be out of breath. Maybe I want to take my kids out more because I've noticed that they're getting sedentary as well. Now, it's the same for fitness as well as nutrition goals, right? I'm going to eat clean starting today. Is that realistic for you? Where are you in your journey? How is the rest of your family eating? And it's oftentimes good goals that are really compact in a too short period of time. The second thing you want to do is start what you enjoy if it's possible. Maybe you like swimming, but right now that's not possible for you. And then what's the easiest for you or the least time consuming? So if you love swimming, but it's really impossible right now to say, I'm going to go and spend 2 hours swimming and get wet and get my hair wet. It's not possible for you, then that's not the right way to go. What's the easiest and least time consuming right now? Maybe you can do 10 squats a day. Maybe you can do a 10-minute workout video from YouTube. What is something that you enjoy, is the easiest and least time consuming? In the beginning, this doesn't mean it's not going to change over time. It's just to get started. And if you're already in the game but you need to change, What do I want to change it to? And going back to the first one, what do I want my body to be able to do? And this leads me into the next one, which is what I call SCA with my clients. We call it small, consistent actions. Each week, you want to set these tiny, tiny habits that are so ridiculously small as opposed to these big, big goals. They're so ridiculously small because you cannot talk yourself out of them. Hey, we're going to eat 2 extra veggies this week. Is it doable? Yes. Hey, I'm going to start doing 10 squats, 1 plank, and 2 push-ups every day. Is this realistic? Do I have time for it? Can I do it? Yes. The next one I want to get into is really looking into your thoughts, because thoughts become things. And I'm not talking about law of attraction here. I'm talking about how your brain will give you what you're focused on. You have to know what you have been thinking about. Have you been stressed out in your mind 24/7? Because if you have, you're increasing the production of cortisol in your body, which means it's going to be harder to get leaner. I start off all my clients with something called a 7-day mental diet. I'll leave the link in the description below where you can get the video on it and the booklet and get started on your own. Or if we do a challenge, you can sign up to be notified for that as well. But what you're thinking about is crucial because you cannot change if you don't know what's going on. So many of my clients will come to me and they say, oh, I knew I was stressed out, but I had no idea I was that stressed out. So really start by being aware of what you're thinking about. All right, the next one, you have to get off the scale. The scale is not showing you anything. The scale is not showing you how much water you're holding, what time of the month it is. It is lying. And it does not matter when it comes to your health. You want to have the proper muscle to body fat ratio. All right, the next one is referring to our gut health. Eat more gut-friendly foods. Those are fermented foods. Sauerkraut is fantastic for you. The real yogurt, now if you're dairy-free, obviously some other coconut yogurt or anything like that will do. You can make your own yogurt at home, by the way. Kefir is fermented milk. It's very similar to yogurt, but it is a bit different. Kimchi, for example, is also fantastic for your gut. Sourdough bread, apple cider vinegar, miso, as in miso soup. Many of these foods are fantastic, but once again, we're going back to making small, tiny change. So I just gave you a list. It doesn't mean you need to implement them all. But what is the one thing that you're going to take and implement? Think about ways that you can implement one of these oftentimes, not all of them once. You can also create more gut-friendly foods by taking proper supplements. You can take prebiotics, you can take probiotics, but I will say you have to know where you're getting them from, because getting your supplementation from Walmart ain't gonna cut it. And I'll leave the links in the description below as to the ones that I recommend that I use. You always want to know the supplement company, who's behind it, do they do third-party testing, and so on. So check out the links in the description and then do your own research. Now, before I get into the last 4, let's get clear. This list can go on and on and on. I really try to choose the quickest, best tips that I can give you that you can implement starting today. But if you want more information on nutrition, on healthy habits, on how to do that, on how to change mindset, how to grocery shop, you can check out the link in the description that will lead you to my website where I have information about the course that covers all of these things. And you can see the whole outline of the course on the website. All right, let's get into the next one. And that's called, I'm giving you the right to half-ass it at times. And here's what I mean by that. On the days you don't feel like it, on the days you know you should do it, but you just don't want to do it, you never want to lose the form. Form is everything. But do what I call half-ass workout. If the workout is 10 different exercises and you have to repeat each circuit 4 times, do 5 exercises twice. Again, you have to make it so simple for you. Now, form is everything. So no matter what you do, you want to have proper form, but you can half-ass it because a half-ass workout is better than no workout. This next one is becoming more and more popular. Don't do 2 bads in a row. So you had 1 unhealthy meal. Don't do 2 unhealthy meals in a row. So you skipped 1 workout. Don't skip 2 workouts in a row. The next one is asking yourself consciously, do you need a day off? So when you have the thought, I don't feel like it, consciously ask yourself, do I really need a day off? Or am I just trying to get out of this workout? You will know exactly which one of these 2 it is. And some days it's going to be taking a break, and some days it's going to be, nah, I've been just trying to lie to myself. And last but not least, you want to love yourself through this process. And this is the hardest for most women that I've worked with. It's learning to love yourself in the process. And this is how you can do it. Think about a 15-year-old you, an 18-year-old you, a younger version of you that came to you with the same issues and same thoughts. What would you tell her to do? All healing roads lead to self-acceptance and self-love. Love yourself the hardest, and everything will change in your life for the better. And here's the next video that I think you want to check out.